Hey guys, I'm Lonnie with Hamil Bowfishing Expeditions. We just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about the equipment you're going to be using and give you some procedures in safety so that you'll be ready when you hit the boat. To begin with, the type of equipment we use, the type of bow, is a PSC Discovery. We have several of these, right-handed and left-handed. What's different about this bow than a typical compound bow is this is called a continuous draw bow. It doesn't have cams that break over with lead off. The reason for that is because when you get ready to shoot, you can draw that bow partially and shoot it, halfway, three-quarters, whatever, whichever way you want to do between here and the back of the draw, you can let it go and it'll shoot fine. Okay, the reel that we're using is a Muzzy reel, and it is a whole lot like the old Spider-Man fishing reel you see at Walmart. Most of you probably have seen one or used one, or a Zebco. It's just a push-button reel. You push it like that, it releases the line. When you turn this handle, it locks into place, and you just reel it up like that. To begin with, let's explain the muck buster. Okay, this is the quiver. It holds the arrow, or there will be something very similar to this that holds the arrow on your bow. And then along with it is a knob here. Let's say that you shoot this thing and you stick it in the mud, okay? So you stick it in the mud down here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pull that line out and wrap it around this knob about 3 times, cock it, pinch the line here, and just do a steady pull. And what that'll do is that'll pull that arrow out of the root ball you're in or the mud. Now, if it doesn't, you just holler at one of us that are helping on the boat, and we'll get your bow and take care of it for you. The way we put this arrow on the bow is we're gonna slip it right through this enclosed rest. All the rests on our bows are enclosed for safety. And then you're gonna snap it on the arrow string right back here. Okay, you've got these finger savers, and there's what's called a knock set. It's a little brass piece that's right above where I snap this arrow on. You always snap that arrow on there, make sure it's good and snug. Now, once you have it there, as you'll notice, there's a little bit of slack here. Sometimes you'll have a lot of slack. The thing you want to do is you want to just lay it over on the opposite side, cock that reel, and just pull it up until it's in a straight line from here all the way through the arrow rest back to where it ties onto the arrow. Now, the reason we do that is because if you have line hanging down somewhere when you get ready to shoot, okay, if that line is down, when you pull it back, it's going to transfer here. It could hook around here, any number of places on the reel handle, and when you shoot, it's going to really mess you up. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, so like I was saying, we're going to make sure it's nice and straight like that. Once you get it this way, you push that button, okay, and it's released, it's ready to go. You can push this button as many times as you want, but you don't hold it down when you shoot. Okay, so you push it, the string's released and ready to go. So you can draw that thing back like this and let it fly. Now, we have a safety feature. Okay, let's say that you put that on there and you don't push the button. What's gonna happen when you pull on this thing is it's just gonna pull the arrow right off the string and let it fall. And the reason we do it that way is we do not want that arrow to go out and come flying back if it's not released. So a little bit of a safety feature there. So that kind of gives you a little idea of the equipment and that you're going to be using. And of course, if you have any questions when you get on the boat, just ask us and we will give you more explanation if you need it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about shooting and the proper way to do that. So like we said earlier, we have the arrow off. We take it through here, place it under that gold or copper knock set. We've got the line straight and the button pushed. Okay, we're gonna make sure that we have one finger on top and 2 on bottom. Then we're gonna extend this arm. It's always best to have the arm that you hold the bow with in front of to the front. Then you're gonna pull that thing straight back. I like to anchor right here at the corner of my lip, okay? And anywhere in that line will work if you're shooting a half draw or a full draw. Pull it back to there. Now, the reason we want you to do that is because it helps us see consistently where you're hitting. If you're hitting to the right or the left, we can tell you and we can help you adjust that. But if you're drawing here one time and then out here one time, it's all changing. So you want to focus on keeping that draw in line with your finger coming to here. You're drawing and you see a fish, okay? We got that fish out there in the water. Typically, when we're shooting gar, a lot of times they'll be right on the top. You just point that arrow right at him and shoot. If a fish is under the water, we have what's called refraction. So light refracts in water. If you've ever stuck a straw into a clear glass of water, you'll see that straw looks bent, comes in and goes at an angle. Okay, well what's happening is when you see that fish, he's actually below where you see him in the water. So to compensate for that, in about 2 foot of water, anywhere from 1 foot to 2 foot of water, if a fish is on the bottom and close to the boat, say within 5 yards, what you're gonna do is when you draw, you're gonna put the bottom of this riser right on the fish, okay? So you got about 6 inches there that you're gonna be shooting under the fish. Now it's gonna feel like more than that, but that's a good rule of thumb, and it changes with how deep the fish is, how far out the fish is, but that's why we're there. We're gonna help you adjust. If you will let us help you, okay? When you draw back to shoot at that fish, we're gonna tell you lower, lower. What you wanna do is you wanna bend at the waist. You do not want to lower the bow like this. Keep that draw up here where it's supposed to be and go at the waist, and then we'll tell you shoot. And you let that thing go. Now, we're not perfect, we don't always hit, but we'll get you really close and get you started. And once you connect with a fish, it'll just start making sense. I'm gonna tell you, it feels like you're shooting 3 foot below the fish when you first start, but that's okay. We're not gonna let you shoot the boat or anything like that. Just trust us and we'll help you get started hitting fish quicker. We have a couple of safety things we want to talk about with you. When you have that bow in your hand, that tip is sharp. We need to always be aware of where we're pointing it. Don't draw it on the inside of the boat. You make sure it's pointed out before you draw it. The other thing you have to be careful of is if you have it here and you decide you want to step over here and get a drink or something, you got to be careful not to hit somebody with that thing. So the best thing to do is just kind of point it up. Okay, point that thing up if you got to move around, or take the arrow off. Now, another thing that happens, and I'm going to tell you folks, dads are the worst at this, but when we position you on the boat, you need to stay in that position. Now, we may rotate positions so everybody gets to shoot on the side that we're seeing the most fish, but what's very important is we've got people on both sides of the boat. If someone on this side of the boat is aiming to shoot and someone over here has missed a fish that's running under the boat and they think, oh, I'm gonna run over here and take a shot, what happens when they shift their weight to that side, this guy's leaning over, the boat tilts, this guy could go in the water, and we do not want that. Now, typically kids do great with this and they'll stay where we tell them, but dads, you're the ones we're talking to. So be aware that when you're in a position, you need to stay in that position, not because we don't want you to get a shot, but because we want everybody to be safe. Sometimes we have to make a move on the boat or we'll go to a different spot. When we do that, we're gonna ask you to get your bows ready to travel. So you're just gonna pop that thing off like this, and you're gonna stick it into the quiver like that, cock your line. Then you're gonna take that bow and you're going to lay it down with the reel handle up on the deck. Okay, what that does is just gets it in a good position for travel, and we're ready to go. Now, another thing that just to cover everything, if we ask you to do something or say, hey, do this, please do it for us. We're doing that for your safety and for the safety of everyone on the boat. Very last thing before we finish up our video is, if you're shooting a lot of fish, if everybody's shooting, we're typically going to be taking the fish off. But if for some reason you don't want to wait on us because other people already have fish on, when we get on the boat, we'll be glad to explain to you how the arrow tips work and how to get the fish off and in the bucket and get back shooting. I'm Lonnie Hamil with Hamil Bowfishing, and we're excited to have you guys on the boat.